And then, bam, I had my stroke. How could that have happened to me? I want to play a little bit of the opening of my speech from only 3 months ago at the Healing Humanity meetup in Sarasota, Florida. Hard to believe this was only 3 months ago.
I just found out like 10 minutes ago that I'm supposed to do this. And he said, talk for 5 minutes or so. And I said, Josie, do you know who you're talking to? An hour. I've never been able to finish a thought in less than an hour, and if nobody stops me, it just keeps going. And anybody who watches me on YouTube knows that rabbit holes are my favorite place.
That was me a few short months ago. And what months they were. At the time, I stood up there on the stage, declared an expert among doctors and other people to answer questions. I felt invincible, immortal. I was going to live to be 120 years old. I was convinced I had found the holy grail of human health, responsible for fixing everything that was wrong with me. And I was giving this advice: be like Mitch, do what I do every day, just like so many other YouTubers that are out there. And then, bam, I had my stroke. How could that have happened to me? Well, there's no shortage of people without a clue out there telling me with no uncertainty that they know exactly how this happened to me. Problem is, I wish I could find out how it happened to me with any certainty, because I haven't yet. And that's the conundrum. The more I try to figure out how could this have happened, and could it have happened because of what I thought was the healthiest diet, that maybe that had nothing to do with it. And if it had nothing to do with it, what the hell did? I've learned that I can't find answers from any doctor, hospital, the VA, because they all don't have opinions. They have a playbook, and it's called the standard of care. And our system is set up so that if they deviate from that, they're in trouble. So the medical community, I don't think, is equipped. So I set out on my own. I need to find out what happened. If I'm going to live a long, healthy life, not have another stroke. Mitch, don't you think the most important thing that you can learn is what caused the last one? And do what you have to do to make some changes. That's another problem. That's another problem. So, day after day, I'm searching for an answer. The more I search, the further away I actually get. I haven't found anything yet that can connect the carnivore diet to my stroke. In fact, I'm convinced that my rapid, some people say amazing recovery, is because my diet is indeed the healthiest diet. But that still leaves that little nagging doubt. What caused the stroke? Well, I have a number of possibilities, and still no way to find out exactly what it was. The doctors didn't know. I got multiple explanations. I had doctors disagreeing with each other. Right up until the day I left rehab, they couldn't agree on what drugs I should take going forward. They had prescribed a beta blocker for somebody like me with normal blood pressure. They have prescribed statins because, well, they always prescribe statins. I don't care who you are. My doctor wanted to go on a crusade to make sure statins were put in the drinking water. That's how radical this guy was. And he was my doctor. And proud of the fact that none of his patients had had a heart attack because all of them were on heavy doses of statins. I don't, that doesn't make sense to me. And certainly, the statistics don't back it up. I think about it every day. I would really like to know what caused my stroke. I don't think I'll ever know. I don't think anybody will ever know. When I first went into the emergency room, they suspected it was my heart. Well, that scared me. Why do you do that? Well, your enzymes are out of whack, and we think maybe you got a hole in your heart and a clot broke off somewhere, and it got into your brain and you had a stroke. Well, how do you know? Well, we don't know. That's our best guess. Okay. That's practice of medicine by guessing. How about, could it be any of the other 1,000 things other than my heart? Well, they assigned me a cardiologist. He came around. Now I got a neurologist who said, you had a clot, we have to thin out your blood. I have a cardiologist who said, you need an angiogram, we have to thicken up your blood a little. The two of them started fighting with each other. They scheduled the angiogram, which is an invasive procedure where they go in through an artery up to your brain and take a look. I said, maybe you could do it with imaging, maybe a CT angiogram. Fell on deaf ears. Maybe the insurance company wouldn't authorize it. I don't know. How could I know? When you're in the hospital, you are what they consider a mushroom. In case you don't know the definition of a mushroom, listen carefully. You're a mushroom. When they keep you in the dark and feed you shit, that's what they did to me. They ordered another test the day before the supposed angiogram. My cardiologist goes bounding into the room and says, good news, Mitch. Your heart is perfect. Your ejection fraction is right where it should be. We're discharging you from the hospital. You're going to rehab. And within 2 minutes, they whisked me away. And I'm Say, what the hell? Do I have a heart problem or not? But once they tell you that was the cause of your stroke, now you got to find out. So I get out. I finally get to my primary at the VA, and I tell her, I think I want to have a cardiac workup. Now, I had been told my heart was fine. I have no pains, no symptoms of heart disease. But back in the corner of my mind, I'm saying, I still don't know what caused the stroke. I know that I tried to live healthy for the first 75 years of my life before carnivore, but I didn't always. I probably have atherosclerosis somewhere. I probably have some blockages. There's nothing I can do about that now. I can't get rid of them. I can only minimize the speed at which they get worse. I was convinced carnivore did that. Maybe it was too late for me. Even a CT angiogram, many people say, doesn't really tell you anything. We talk about calcium buildup. We talk about everything. I am pushing 80 years old. I think I'm in good shape for 80, but I'm getting old. How much agonizing should I really put into this? Or should I just move on with life and be, let's just say, fat, dumb, and happy? That's a perplexing question. My VA primary set up a series of things. Well, she for me, and I started getting calls scheduling things. The first thing they scheduled was another cardiac ultrasound. I've recently had 2 or 3. I just had one weeks ago. Why can't they go and get that one? Why do they need to do it again? I don't know. They scheduled it. Not only did they schedule it, but they scheduled it in a VA hospital in Orlando that I can't get to right now. And I didn't realize that. They scheduled a stress test. When I think of a stress test, I think of a treadmill. No, this is a chemically induced stress test. What does that mean? That means they're going to inject something into me that pushes my heart to the point of blowing up. My first response to that was, are you out of your mind? I'm not doing that. Just something about that was inherently wrong. If you're on a treadmill and things start looking bad, you stop. What happens to the chemicals in your body when they're trying to get your heart to work too hard? I don't want any part of that, and I don't want to know anything more about that. And then sometime in the near future, in August, I think, they scheduled a consult with me, with the cardiologist in Orlando. I said, oh, this is absurd. So I canceled all those appointments, and when I canceled them, they said, do you want to talk to your primary? I said, yes. Well, we'll schedule a phone call. All right. Well, the following Monday, she called me and we talked for about a half an hour. She knows me. I think she knows I'm right. I posed a lot of questions to her. I said, I'm not going to chemically race myself towards a heart failure, period. I can't keep driving or getting to Orlando, which is ends up taking an entire day. My son can't do it. I can drive, but I don't know if I should be going on adventures like that yet. So I really don't think it was my heart. If I have blockages, I said to her, I can't do anything about them, can I? She said, no. I said, there is no way to clean your arteries, is there? She said, no. I said, all this bullshit that we hear about eat this, take this food does this supplement does that, clean your arteries, an artery cleanse is all nonsense, isn't it? She said, yes. I said, the best I can do is stop or slow the progression. Yes. I said, then why the hell do I even want to know if there's nothing I can do about it? And that becomes the crux of the issue. If you can't do anything about it, even if death is impending, do you want to know? Some people do. Sorry, I don't. Fat, dumb, and happy. I said, the only thing I could think of that would tell me anything, but still, I couldn't do anything about it, would be a CT angiogram, which shows you calcified plaque and soft plaque. So she looked, well, I have that here. I'll go ahead and order one. You'll be contacted if they approve it by the scheduling department. I said, okay, but do I really even want that? Because do I want to know? Why? If I know and there's something wrong that's incurable, my life has effectively ended at that minute because that's all I'm going to think about. Or do I want to be fat, dumb, and happy? Now, if you can do something about a medical problem, yes, for all God's sake, you want to know. But if you know or you suspect a problem that is just a lifetime of abuse and old age, if it was your car, you'd say, time to get a new car, instead of trying to keep fixing it. We can't do that with our bodies. If I was having symptoms of blockages in my heart, I would probably have, in most cases, but not all, chest pain, shortness of breath. I wouldn't be able to walk the long distances I do. So I made a decision for myself. I don't expect you to follow it. It's just food for thought. Until something gets acute, I have to stop the impossible task of figuring out exactly why I had this stroke and chalk it all up to a lifetime of eating according to all of their recommendations of a healthy diet, all those healthy whole grains, healthy fruits and vegetables. Stay away from fat. Don't eat meat. And don't worry about sugar. It's not the culprit. Well, I bought into that half-heartedly, and I'm an addict, so it's what I wanted to do anyway. Right now, please stop asking me why I don't get this test, why I don't get that test. I don't want the test. I don't want to know unless it's something I can do something about. And in that case, I will get the tests. But I think for me, as far as this past stroke went, as far as worrying about any heart problems, because I don't have any symptoms of it, I think from today forth, my friends, consider me fat, dumb, and happy until the day I die. Thanks for watching. And take the rest of the day off. And do like I do. Continue to eat meat.